Mythic Squad, the People's Guild. A passion for making monsters can't be killed. We breed the best pets, learn a lot, no regrets. Join us in creating excellence. Purple on our back, Mythic Squad on the chest. It's the Mythic Squad. It's Mythic Squad. Mosh, Starbuck, Mythic Squad. It's time to wake the fuck up. Let's go. Good morning, y'all.
Hey, good morning. Good morning. We are back in the building with Mr. Justin Bellow himself, aka
Justin Diesel.
and we've got straight from Italia. Buongiorno, Dragonfly Tales. How have you been?
Buongiorno, come stai?
Buongiorno. It's been a while, Justin Bellow. How you been?
Doing good, man. Doing good. Just trying to stay busy.
I hear you, man. It's been next crypto gem wrapped up. You know, I love to see it. It was a great episode at the end there, especially that bonus episode. How did it feel actually seeing that live?
Man, it's always amazing to see it, when it all comes together. When we were filming it, it was really funny because when we shot off all the like the fireworks and like the like the streamers and all that, some of it actually got caught on this top railing, so it blocked Jamie's face a little bit. But it was really funny because like we're all standing there around and no one had any idea who we were going to announce. Like we didn't tell the cast or the crew, or we didn't tell anybody, right? So it's like the producers knew and I knew, and so we had all the cameras set up to ready to go on Jamie, and he happened to stand like literally right in front of like this streamer that landed on this pole. So if you watch closely, it's like we're cutting around the close up to like the wide and the other shots just because the streamers kind of got in the way. And it's one of those accidents, like you can't plan for that. Like it got caught on like, wiring or something. But I loved it, man. Like Jamie was like genuinely surprised. His exit interview was probably one of the funniest moments we filmed because he literally had no idea. He didn't know what he was going to say. And it was just finally like hitting him for the first time. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What were some of the surprises? I mean, was that the first time working with TV producers for you?
In the sense of directing the show, yeah. So, I mean, I started off on set as like a production assistant, camera operator, and an editor. And then started directing commercials for the Marriott like 7 years ago. And so in terms of like a half an hour show, this was my first TV show that I ever did. And I had a great experience with everybody involved. Everybody was just really open and collaborative, and everybody always had new ideas they wanted to pitch or try out, which I love. Like, you know what I mean? Like I don't ever want somebody to not share what they think could make it better. Like I don't care if you're the PA or if you're, the biggest producer in the world, right? Like if you have a good idea is a good idea.
Sure.
And once that had that culture had kind of been, established on set, it was just like a party every day, man, because everybody felt free and comfortable enough to want to offer, a suggestion. And that's the best. Like I hate sets where you're kind of walking on eggshells and you're not really, you don't know if you're allowed to say things or, if you should say things. Whereas on our set, anybody could, give an announcement or, you know, a suggestion. Even the cast members, like the people competing, like they would suggest certain things, you know, in the middle of a challenge, which was really interesting and really funny, because sometimes it was a really great idea, and then other times it's like, yeah, okay, maybe we'll go in another direction this time. But
yeah, I hear you. I mean, there are definitely elements that I liked about the show, and there are things that, you know, I wish that were different. You know, there was this one guy, I can't remember what his role was, but he's like, his job was to like add spice or make sure it was hype or something like that. You know what I'm talking about? He was in the second episode, and he'd be like, well, and he walks in with this girl, and she hits her head on the garage.
oh yeah, that's our commissioner non-boring TV.
Okay, non-boring TV. That's what it was. Yeah,
Yeah.
I didn't understand his role as much as, you know, as the others. And you know, there's one thing I wish there was more elements of, like the crypto itself. And there were some educational pieces, at least the clips that they use between the cut sets, like the 21 million Bitcoin or there's 21 million Bitcoin that'll ever be printed, and you know,
Yeah.
those facts are kind of neat, but as an introduction to crypto for many, I think there was a little bit more where they could have, you know, taught more or put it more of made crypto less intimidating for some, because there's still a lot of misnomers out there and confusion about what it actually is, and you know, how it works. And obviously Next Crypto Gem wasn't designed to like be the solve for the entire industry, and it helps get it in the right direction. And you know, hopefully there's a season 2 where they can build on that and really take off the you know, the things that make it more confusing for people.
Yeah, it was like, you know, that was one of the most challenging aspects when we were in the writers' room. It was, how do you balance the educational components with the entertainment factor, and not do too much of either? Because once we started going with, you know, well, let's do a definition, you know, every break, or like let's do like some sort of like educational moment with the competitors inside the competition. By that point, now it's like, okay, well, we're explaining one aspect, but then we're taking away from the challenge that these people are supposed to be competing in. And so it's like, okay, give them a little bit of education while mixing it with that challenge. And then if you want to learn more, if you want to, like, you know, discover more about what these people's projects are, then, you know, you're free to go and, you know, follow them, or, you know, go to their personal sites or their projects. And that was the most challenging part. It was like, how do you entertaining the audience with whatever these challenges are going to be for these contestants, but at the same time making sure that the audience understands what these people are doing. And it's like, you know, like you said, like crypto is so detailed, and there's so many different elements to it. I think that in season 2 we could probably dive a little bit more into, you know, the backbone on, you know, how crypto actually works and how you can get involved. I think for this, it's like for Next Crypto Gem, it's like, here's these really successful people in the space, and now they're going to their projects. And it's like, okay, well, let's tell everybody about their projects. And our thought process was, if you like these projects enough, you're going to go and want to investigate what the project is a little bit more and do a little bit more work on your own. You know what I mean? Like, because 23 minutes is so tight. And if it was a 45-minute episode, like Shark Tank's 45 minutes, right?
Right.
So like, you can have them pitching, then like a background on where the other businesses are or whatever. 23 minutes, it's like, dude, we got to move, because by the time you get to minute 15, if that challenge isn't over yet, and we still have to do the deliberations, you're going to run out of time. By the time you get to minute,
that reminds me, how tight was it? Because that was one of the things that I thought is like, this is a really fast episode for the amount of content that they're putting into it. And to your point, you know, Shark Tank's 45 minutes. They got a long time to pitch. And the difference between Shark Tank is like, you're pitching to get on the show, right? I mean, your pitch is basically the show. So Next Crypto Gem kind of goes a step beyond. Is like the first and second episodes is your pitch to get on the show, or mostly the first one. But then the second one is like, you're in the show. Okay, how do we take that element and make it a game now? You know,
right? And it's like you have like 3 blocks in a 23-minute, you know, episode. Like, it's like A block, B block, C block. A block is like 5 minutes. The B block is like 7, and then the last block is like, you know, 6 or 7, right? And so you get to around 21, 22 minutes if you can, you know what I mean? Like, and like each block could be a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, depending on what's happening. And so it's like, I was editing the first cut I did on the episodes was like 35 minutes, right? That's too long. Like you have to knock off 12 minutes in order for this thing to air. Okay,
and
well,
still have it make sense.
and still have it make sense. So in those 12 minutes, I would like expand, what the judges are talking about, like their deliberations, and those three talking about whatever the challenge was going to be were probably some of the most educational moments in the show, just because they would break down exactly what they would want from the contestants while also telling the audience what this has to do with the space. And it's, if we had 45 minutes, I think we could have gotten like every episode. We would have been able to educate and explain. We could have spent the second episode all on blockchain. Like, what is the blockchain? And then have the judges talk about it, have Jamie talk about it. And it's like, we wanted to have the contestants explain it to, the no coiners, right, in episode 2. And then episode 3, it's like, hey, make a video explaining your project. Okay, well, in their videos, we had so much additional footage that didn't make it, where they're literally explaining in like graphic detail why this is happening and why it's not happening. But, you just don't have the time to get it all in because it's 22, 23 minutes max. I think the longest episode we did was 25 minutes, and that was the party episode, just because that was the first episode where a contestant was leaving. And so we wanted to give whoever wasn't going to be on the show anymore a little bit more time to, really plead their case before the judges made their
DeFiKingdoms.
Man. And I thought personally, bro, DeFi did the best in episode 4 because for the first time, he was explaining it in a simplified way to where anybody could understand what he was talking about. And up until that point, it got very technical to where even the judges sometimes were like, okay, well, back that up or shorten whatever you're saying because I'm a little confused. Whereas episode 4, Dreamer is literally walking around to each group of people that he's talking to. And I thought he broke it down in the simplest, best way to where anybody could understand it. So I really didn't understand why he was going home. If anything, I thought Suka was going to go home.
That's what I thought. But then you heard Suka's story about, the thing he had to go through. And I was like, well, you're not going home now.
Bro. We were editing. I remember we were talking about it like, okay, if we highlight that in like a teaser or like a promotion, are people going to think this guy's not going home? I was like, it could go either way. Like it could be, hey, there's this thing that I was dealing with, but you still could go home, or it's what you just said, where it's like, okay, this guy's definitely not going home. I thought honestly,
that's what I thought 100%. I was like, well, there goes our shot, Dreamer. Have a safe flight home.
Man, I really thought Suka was going to go because Leia, behind the scenes and even some of the stuff in the episode, Leia was grilling Suka really hard that episode in front of other groups of people. And it was literally that one moment with Patty explaining how he had, overcome his cancer battle with Jade. That's like the only time that Leia or a judge wasn't pressing Suka on something. Whereas Dreamer was like freely roaming through the party and nobody was really stopping him except for the commissioner and On Boring TV. And so when the decision came like on set, like I had no idea who the judges were going to pick. I didn't know, like we're doing it live. And so they're like, yeah, sorry, Dreamer, we're going to see you next time. I looked at the producers. I was like, what? Like, dude, I thought it was Suka.
It's going to be like one of those things where if you ever saw that America's Got Talent or something, or one of those things where you don't win, maybe you can come back next year. We'll see.
Hey, dude, we were thinking too, it would be really cool. I don't know how much I'm allowed to say, but like to possibly have the contestant that didn't win come back in some sort of like a helper or like a special like cameo or guest star inside the next season, right? Even if they're not competing to be the next Crypto Gym, but still be a part of the show in some capacity. So that's definitely.
Yeah, and depending on when you're filming that, who knows where the space is going to be. I've talked about it before, like the economy. Nobody knows where it's going, and obviously crypto doesn't necessarily exactly parallel where the rest of the economy is at. I brought it up. I don't know if it was the last stream or the one before, but currently the rates in the United States or the Fed prime rate is tied to where it was 20 years ago for the first time. It hasn't been where it's at today since February 1st of 2001. So there's people in the industry, like crypto wasn't even around back then,
Right.
And the Feds meet again, I think October 31st and November 1st. And then we're in uncharted territories for the first time in over 2 decades. You got to assume that with inflation where it is right now, and the sentiment around the crypto space not being that very bullish, like there's people that are stacking right now, and more power to them. Again, not financial advice. But there's also people that are holding off to stack because they think there's going to be another dip. So we don't know who's going to be right. If you're looking at historical trends for Bitcoin, you'll see that things are pointing up, and we'll see if that actually keeps on that trend, or it could be a new trend that we haven't seen before. So it really is uncharted territory in the space for DeFi alone. DeFiKingdoms or DeFi space wasn't here 20 years ago, or wasn't even here 10 years ago, I should say. So we're in a position right now where we're kind of, I don't know, there's people in the space like ourselves, like the streamers, that are trying to influence it as much as we can, or that's the wrong word, not influence it, but be a part of it as it does grow, or as it does take that trajectory. So we know that we did our part to kind of see, what's possible. And that's, that I think that's a big part of what's driving us right now. So I hope that there's a second season of Next Crypto Gem. I hope it's in a space that, is a lot more bullish and there's a lot more enthusiasm around crypto in general. But we'll have to see on that. What's up, Dragonfly? Welcome back.
Someone called me and switched off the headphone.
Oh, yeah, that happens all the time.
I don't know why when someone calls me, the headphone.
That's all good. So what were some of the things that you took away? I mean, obviously, it was probably your first exposure to crypto in a meaningful way. What do you think some of your biggest takeaways from crypto in general were?
The biggest thing for me, number one, was the passion in the community behind why this is so important and how critical it is to get off of a fiat currency.
Yeah.
That was really the most surprising, because I had no idea, before. Like, I had some friends that made a lot of money, in the last bubble or whatever you call it. Like they invested
the last bull run.
The last bull run, yeah. Like I knew a few friends that like made a bunch of money, and like one is now living in Mexico and like playing poker like all day long every day. And I have another friend that lost, a lot of money that maybe they didn't have. So I got to see both of those things before I got hired for the show. And then once I was on the show, literally talking to the judges every day and the contestants, and understanding why they all believed in cryptocurrency. Because that was the understand. Like I number one, I didn't know how it worked. And number two, I didn't know how you could get behind it. Well, of course, like if you don't understand something, you're going to be scared of it and skeptical. Once I understood what crypto was and how it operated and what the blockchain was, like once Jet explained the blockchain in the writer's room and how you're able to actually see everybody's transactions and that nothing is hidden, and how that in comparison to our financial system today is completely backwards, right? Like you have no idea who's going where. I'm getting charged $12 a month for a maintenance fee on my account. I'm getting charged an overdraft fee for money I don't have in my account. So you're charging me I don't have.
Yeah, like, you're broke. Let me take 39 more bucks from you, ho.
Let me take 30 from you. Because you don't have any money in your account when you had to go put gas in your car to go to a job interview. Like, how does that make sense? Like, how am I supposed to pay it back if I don't have any money? And that's the beauty of crypto. It's like there is no like hidden mirrors. It's like if somebody trades something with somebody else, or somebody sends somebody a transaction, like I can see it, we can all see it. And I think that kind of transparency scares the shit out of like the establishment, because if a vast majority of people do adopt cryptocurrency, then the financial institutions will now have to play ball with us as opposed to the other way around.
Right. And when you think about it in other terms of like years and years ago, before cell phones were a big thing, people were like, I'll never switch to a cell phone. I'll only have a landline. I don't ever want to have one. And now it's like the complete opposite, where if you're in a house that has a landline, you're like, what's that thing ringing? My son even asked me, he's like, why do you always say hang up the phone? Why don't you just say end the call? And I was like, what do you mean hang up the phone? You hang it up. And I was like, oh, we don't hang it up, do we?
Don't age me.
I know. Come on, man.
Yeah, dude.
So, I mean, I think that the space does lend itself to a lot. The blockchain is such usable technology. Even, there's banks that are looking at blockchain right now and how they could utilize it. Blockchain, for those out there, I mean, most of our viewers all know what it is. Blockchain is just a string of data. As one block is filled, another block is created. Those chains are connected. They're openly viewable for all to see and help manage in a way. And if you want to break it down in the simplest terms, it's just that blockchain is a string of data. And I know it sounds scary and intimidating at first, especially if any term that you don't know what it means, or anything that you're trying to learn, when it's new, it's scary. But as you become more and more familiar, you're like, oh, this actually makes sense. Why don't we do more things like this? And not to mention the speed of transactions processing now is light years faster than what you could do. I could transfer you a Bitcoin before my sentence is over. If I want to transfer you wire, and if I'm trying to wire Dragonfly Tales in Italy, I've got to send it, I've got to jump through hoops. I've got to, bring my ID. I've got to be in person at the bank for most places. He's got to authorize it. I've got to get a SWIFT number to get across the overseas. And there's some intermediaries in between. Each one of those has fees. So the amount I send you or the amount I spend isn't going to be the amount that you get. You're going to get a site, depending on the wire, it could be a sizable chunk. An international wire, call it $100, could cost you $155. And if I'm going to send you a Bitcoin, it might take me, the fraction of the cost, and it's instant. Not to mention, he can see that I sent it. So if I'm sending you a wire, I can say, yeah, I sent you that wire. You're like, oh, okay, I kind of got to take your word for it, unless you're providing, legitimate proof. The bank's not going to tell me, hey, this person sent a transaction to you. But on the blockchain, I could be like, you sent me a wire. Okay, what's the hash? I pop in the hash or the transaction verification ID, and boom, we're in business. So it's just a different space. And, you're talking to a guy who's like coming literally from the other side, suit and tie on. As soon as this stream comes off, I go into my alter ego, and it's straight up, Mr. Dark Side, depending on your perspective. It's kind of
like Batman. Yeah, just like Batman. Yeah,
exactly like Batman without the money.
I think the most powerful thing that crypto has is exactly what Dreamer was trying to communicate during the last episode of Next Crypto Jam, and it is ownership. But the problem is that now people are looking for ownership. Okay, so it's like the guys talking about ownership. They are like 5-6 years above. You understand? And ownership is the concept, because now a lot of people make video games like eSports, where you gain tokens, and you have at the end of the season, all those tokens have no value. The new season begins, and you have to gain new tokens. Okay, and nobody wants that tokens. You know what I'm talking about. You gain tokens for all the season, and that you lost everything because you don't own the tokens. Okay, right. It's the same for DeFiKingdoms now. In DeFiKingdoms, we can own all the jewel. It means really to own the game. And it's incredible. When some people ask me, why have I to buy jewel? I say, just to own this game. You can own the game. It's yours. Okay. And I think people aren't ready now for this. Okay. Every great idea need to pass through people's mind through other ways. No, I think that really people will need jewel when all the people will begin to talk about the DeFiKingdoms without talking about crypto. Okay, right. We love this game, we play this game, we have fun, and we want to become powerful. Okay, when the game becomes popular and people gain tokens, okay, that moment will be the moment the people will understand what ownership means, because they will sell, buy what they want, and but this moment is I think is a little bit far yet.
I think, I mean, we're like I said, we're in a unique, not just space, but a unique time where we've seen what the power token can do in Jewel. You probably already know it's been up to $22. Now it's hovering around a dime. So it's like you look at it and you're like, what kind of and that was, at $22, that's without a game, that's without really any gameplay whatsoever. You fast forward to today where we're actually doing something with those heroes. We're actually able to play the game. I think that's the reason why it's starting to hover, and like it's encouraging to us. And I think that, it's unfortunate that we have to wait for the rest of the market to catch up. But with the exposure that they're getting from Next Crypto Jam and through their various marketing partnerships, I think they're in a good space. Obviously, Mythic Squad's going to be helping DeFiKingdoms as much as we can. Looking forward for 2 future partnerships as much as we can to sell our merch. And speaking of merch, yesterday launched our merch store. What?
Congratulations. That's awesome.
Yeah, we launched our merch store and we got our first sales. I think we had 7 of them. So in one day, that's pretty good, especially since, maybe people haven't seen it yet. Our top seller, I'll show y'all, is on the screen. Boom. That's that Mythic Squad OG hoodie. We've got the t-shirt. We've got the hat. We've got the shoes. Like, come on. Who else has shoes?
That's sick.
And then the Dread Knight shirt. So we're excited for that to finally launch. You can find that on mythicsquad.etsy.com. The Gen Zero raffle ends today at 9 o'clock, I think Pacific time, which is midnight Eastern. So if you have raffle tickets, I hope you're playing the new Adventures in DeFiKingdoms game, which, I won some tickets. Boom. Adventures in Adventure Arcade is out today. So you can actually use, and one of the things we found out last night on stream is if you've got Second Life on your hero, you've got Second Life in this game. So if you've been waiting a long time to actually use the traits and abilities that we all absolutely love. Yesterday, my Dread Knight dies, and I'm like, wait a minute, he's back. What just happened? And I read in the corner there, sure enough, it says Second Life has been used. And I'm like, ooh! So, I mean, that was just a big surprise. So, like I said, these are Beeves logs. Dual Season 6 coming. Filters on Filters is what people want. Merch partnerships are coming. I think one of the things that you're going to see from the Mythic Squad the most is we're making all of the hero classes. So you can see the Dread Knight here with the purple silhouette. So expect to have like a Ninja one, a Sage one, Dragoon. Hopefully you want your favorite class. And this is just a test. If these don't work, we won't do it again. If people like them, we'll do it again. There you go. And then, of course, we are very bullish here. So I appreciate you guys coming on. That is basically our time. We're going to hear Dreama send us home. And Justin, I gotta say thank you again for joining the Mythic Squad. We can't wait to have you on again. Maybe next time when you come on, we got to get you in this game and get you playing. Do you figure out why we love it so much?
Dude, I would love that. And I want one of those sweatshirts and that hat. That hat is fierce, bro.
Yeah, consider it done. Consider it done. There's 2 versions of the hat, by the way. So we've got the black one and the purple. This one is this one's really close to me. And like I always say that this is because this is Jiraiya from Naruto, if you've seen it.
Oh shit, that's dope.
And so if you ever seen Jiraiya, he wears this thing. And so when I was a little kid, I kind of broke to you my story a little bit. It's kind of weird, but what I didn't tell you is the person who wasn't actually my father, his family came from what this symbol is, and that's oil. So they were millionaires over there, and they're literally oil barons in the Philippines, and they still own that land with oil as far as I know. So somebody I always wanted to emulate was somebody who I didn't get to spend a lot of time with because he passed away when I was younger, but my grandpa, we call him Lolo. And, when I wear the hat, I always feel like he's with me, and it's like a weird thing because, my grandpa's gone. And then I always got this weird sentiment, like you feel like you've got like this bloodline, and because you've got this bloodline, you're attached to your relatives. But then what happens when you're like 38 and then like that bloodline snaps? I was like, are you still attached to that bloodline? Is the energy what keeps you close? It's like, it's a weird space, but you got to have faith that something's going right for you. It's like I said last time, you never know why things happen the way they do, but in the end they make sense. But I'm not going to take too much of your time. I appreciate you coming on. We're going to send it.
Thank you, man.
Dragonfly, appreciate you. Can't wait to have you on again. Here we go.
Did it click out?
We're the Mythic Squad, the people's game.